Hi! In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use a CSM server to migrate your ASR9K classic iOS XR 32-bit routers to 64-bit. There are other videos available on YouTube that cover the basics of CSM server, but basically it's a web application that orchestrates a software upgrade for many platforms of Cisco routers. On the home page, you can register the hosts you want to migrate and the server repositories from where the routers can pick up software images. We have another video that talks about how to create those, and I'll put the link in the description box. On this CSM server, we already have a bunch of server repositories, regions, and hosts created. Specifically, we will schedule migration for this particular host. As you can see, it's currently running classic image 6225. We will migrate it to the 64-bit image 6225. Although in general for migration, the target image version doesn't have to be the same as the current image version. Now before diving in, I also want to mention that the complete user manual for migration is available under Help. This manual covers all the important details. It breaks down the steps of migration, the validation of configuration conversion, the prerequisites of migration, the hardware supported in 64 bits, the special migration image you need to use, the scheduling of migration jobs, the options provided and useful logs, and etc. etc. So make sure to check it out. Now, let's go over the steps of migration. First of all, we need to take two validation steps to qualify the migration. First step, we will validate the configuration conversion. This is essential because the 32-bit configuration is not fully compatible with the 64-bit, and CSM uses Knox tool for converting the configurations. So to confirm that the conversion is successful, we will copy the XR configs and the admin configs out from the host and run the manual conversion from CSM. Now I'm just going to log into the host I wanted to migrate. And I'm going to do a show run to get the XR config. And I'm going to copy and paste it to a text file. I'm doing this because I have minimum configurations. If you have large configurations, you can use the copy running -config, TFTP column, IP address and directory, etc., to copy the XR config out to your server repository and from there to your local machine. But since I have minimum configs here, I'm just using the simple copy and paste. And we'll do the same for the admin configs. Now I will choose the XR configs that we just copy and pasted and click convert. Now it's downloading the latest Knox tool to prepare for the conversion. And depending on the size of your configuration file, it may take up to minutes to convert. Now the conversion is done. We can see the original configs on the left side and the converted configs on the right side. We can use the filters here to check, for example, which configurations are reported as unsupported in 64-bit and which are supported, etc., etc. If you have questions over the result of conversion, you should reach out to us through the support forum. There is also an option down here to upload the converted configs to server repositories. Now this is just a manual validation step. Once we confirm that the configurations can be converted as we expect, later when we schedule the actual migration, CSM will back up and convert the configurations for the hosts on the fly. We will do the same for the admin configs. Okay, conversion is done, and I'm checking the configs. Everything looks good. And we can move on to the next validation step. Now we need to validate that the hardware on the host is supported in 64-bit. And that's where migration audit comes in. We'll choose migration audit as the install action. We'll leave the schedule time as default and click continue. Select the region the host belongs. Here we can choose multiple hosts, but I'm only migrating one host today, so I'll choose that. Now I need to enter the 64-bit version that I want to migrate to. So 6225. By the way, whenever you see blue icons like this, feel free to click to find out more information for the option. It's usually very useful. Now I will click schedule and I'm redirected to the install dashboard where I can monitor the status of jobs. Now I know that for this host there is a disconnect power module, so I know that the migration audit will fail. But in general, if there's any hardware besides line card that's documented as unsupported in the ASR9K 64-bit, or if there's any hardware in non-operating state, the migration audit will fail, and you can find out about the reason in the logs. And here the job has failed. I will click on the log icon, and it shows right here that a power module is in failed state. That's why the job failed. And we can also go into the session log, and yeah, we can see that the failed power module is right here. Now, usually when migration audit fails, someone needs to go and manually fix the problem. But for power modules and fan trays, there is an option when scheduling actual migration to override the hardware audit for those. So, in this case, I see that I only have a failed power module and it's not really important to me. So I'm not bothered by the failed migration audit job. I'll just use the override function when I schedule the actual migration. Now that we've done both of the validation steps, I want to briefly talk about the special 64-bit migration image. I'll pull up the specific section in the user menu. Most likely you have different software packages installed on your current 32-bit system, and if you want the corresponding packages to be installed and the services activated right away after migration, you will need to build a golden migration tar file to use as the migration image. And you can find out about the details right here in the user menu. On the other hand, if you have minimum configuration and you don't want any package to be installed, you can simply use the mini migration tar file released on CCO. But you can't just use any regular tar file. The tar file for migration contains extra boot files, and you can tell that our tar file is specific to migration if it contains the keyword migrate to EXR. Now, I've actually built a 6225 golden migration tar file, and I've already copied it to a server repository, so I am ready to schedule migration. A complete migration takes 3 steps: pre-migrate, migrate, and post-migrate. Pre-migrate takes care of the hardware and software checks. It cleans up the disk space. It backs up and converts the admin and the XR configs. It copies the tar file from server repository to hard disk. It checks FPD versions and performs FPD upgrades if that's necessary. The migrate will untar the tar file to put the image and boot files in place. It sets the boot mode. It reloads the router in order to boot the 64-bit image. It waits for all the RSPs, RPs, and supported line cards to reach the final operational states. And lastly, post-migrate will check the FPD versions again, and if needed, it will upgrade the FPDs and reload the device. Now we can schedule them all at once like this, and the inherent dependency among them is taken care of for us. The custom command profile is for if you want to capture any additional output from routers for comparison purposes before and after migration. By default, CSM will capture the show platform and show running config. Now we will select the host we want to migrate. Select the server repositories and directory. These are the files available there, and you can manually select the migration tar file, or you can take advantage of the auto select here to locate tar files. This next option is available in case you want to apply some custom XR configs instead of having CSM convert the existing XR configs on the hosts and apply those. But we won't be using that for now. The last option is what I mentioned before for skipping the hardware audit for power modules and fan trays. In our case, the host has a disconnected power module, so I'm going to choose yes here in order to bypass the hardware audit during pre-migrate. As usual, you can click on the blue info icons to get more information. Okay, I'll click schedule and we are redirected to the install dashboard again. Let's check back after the job's finish. Okay, all 3 steps have been completed successfully. And if we go and take a look at the host, it shows that it's running the 64-bit ASR9K. We can also go back and take a look at the logs. In pre-migrate, CSM captured some logs. In the post-migrate, we can see the red icons here, meaning that there is a difference before and after migration. For example, for this node status, you can see the diff here, and everything looks good though. If you had created and chosen custom command profile during the scheduling, you can potentially see other diff files here. Now if we go into the session log, we can see that the host is running 6225 image with these extra packages, which were included in the golden migration tar file that I built. And we can take a look at the current XR config on the host. It is the config converted by the Nox tool. And that's it. That's how you can use CSM to migrate your ASR9K routers. If you have any questions, look into the user manual and feel free to reach out to us.